Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Xehther here, back at it again to drop yet another banger of a what if. This being, what if Naruto was Natsu's reincarnation? Now, in case any of you guys are brand new to the channel and you guys have never seen any of my content before, what's up? My name is Xehther. I make banger what ifs. I do My Hero content as well as Naruto content. So, if that's something that interests you when you go on to enjoy the video, maybe consider subscribing, maybe share the video around with some anime lover fans. And with that being said, boys, there's really not too much to say as for today's intro. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. Alright, so you guys see the thumbnail, you guys see the title. This is, well, as I said previously, what if Naruto was Natsu's reincarnation? Now, some of you guys are going to be here like, so does this mean that Naruto's going to be a dragon slayer? And yes, to that, the answer is yes. However, there will actually not be any dragons in this world because I don't know if I really am comfortable with the idea of adding extra characters to the story than there already is, seeing as Naruto already has an extreme, gigantic of a cast for its characters. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to keep it simple and plain and not cause myself any major migraines by adding all those extra characters. So that being said, this is where we're going to be picking off our story off. Alright, so we're basically going to be starting everything off on the day that, well, Naruto had the Nine Tails put into him. Of course, just like in the original version of the story, everything is kind of going to go the same as, Obito is the masked man, Kushina and Minato still end up sacrificing themselves, and everything is basically relatively the same as everything was in canon. However, there will be one kind of minor / big change. Naruto is not going to be looking like Naruto per se. He's going to be looking kind of like Kid Natsu. That's basically what Naruto would look like. He would look like the baby version of Natsu. To put it simply, Naruto would be born with pink hair as well as the same eye color that Natsu has. I forget whether that's hazel or black, seeing as, well, the picture in the thumbnail has black eyes, but I'm pretty sure his normal eye color is hazel. That being said though, boys, this is when, basically the attack on Konoha with the Nine Tails and all that stuff essentially goes the same in canon. Kushina would of course do her thing where she's like, yeah, make sure you eat a lot, make sure you do this a lot, and Minato would still be sitting there just like, bro, I didn't get to say a single word to my son. This is when Kushina would just be like, oh, sorry, and they would both just pass away. Minato would of course still leave fragments of their chakra within Naruto, and well, Naruto would basically go on to live the life that he basically had in canon. However, there will be one slight bit of a change to the normal story. See, Natsu doesn't have whiskers, and the Nine Tails had whiskers. So when you put those things together and people looked at Naruto and they saw that he had whiskers and the Nine-Tailed Fox did as well, they kind of were more inclined towards believing, Danzo when he told everybody that, Naruto was the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and that he is the demon of the Hidden Leaf Village. But, since Naruto doesn't exactly have I stuttered so bad, I'm so sorry, but since Naruto doesn't have that in this version of events, that's not exactly going to be a problem. That being said, this is when Naruto would go on to live a life similar to the one in canon. However, it would be slightly easier because, well, some people would kind of just be like, yeah, there's no way that kid's some demon. I mean, look at him. He's harmless. And I mean, they are 100% right. At the moment, he's harmless. But later on, the man's gonna be a monster, not in the evil sense, but just in the sense of power and ranking in the village. The man is going to be an absolute beast of what, our normal version of Naruto is. That being said, this is when Naruto would basically grow up having a normal day-to-day life similar to the one that he had in canon. However, one thing will slightly change. When one day, when Naruto was about at the age of 6 or 7, Naruto would have basically been eating some ramen, and obviously Naruto, he's never had ramen with some spice in it. However, he decided to mix it up a little bit. And our boy Naruto basically, he heated himself up some ramen, put some water to boil and he just dumped it in the bowl and all that stuff, right? all that really, happened, what you guys would expect, some instant ramen cup noodles, right? However, when Naruto would go to take a bite, he would basically, it'd be too spicy for him. And Naruto would start coughing out just intensely, just completely, incredibly intense. As Naruto would proceed to basically cough out fire. And that's at that moment that I almost said Deku, but Naruto would cover his mouth with both hands and just be like, "What was that?" He'd say, "I can shoot fire from my mouth?" He would try to do it yet again, however, he would not be able to do it ever. And well, he wouldn't be able to access these abilities for like about 4 months. However, this is when Naruto would be on his 7th birthday, and it's at this point that Naruto would finally be able to just use that power slightly once again. Naruto would say, "Roar!" As he would be outside in the woods trying to use that same ability that he used so long ago, and Naruto would have a small spark of fire go off. This is when Naruto would basically just be like, "Whoa, that's not bad." And Naruto would continue to try to create that same effect once again, remembering the feeling of what he basically just did. This is when Naruto would basically go on to proceed to just spend the rest of the next couple of hours just kind of practicing and basically keep going with like his little fire thing. He would think that it's none other than fire style, and people who are walking by are just like, "Whoa, he's doing some ninja training and a fire style at that young of an age." People would be impressed. Some of the villagers would just be like, "The demon's training," some of them would be on some evil stuff. And yeah, that's basically what's happening. However, it's at this point that one girl would be roaming around through the forest, and Naruto would notice this. It would be pretty cold around this time, and Naruto would have barely been able to muster any flames from his mouth with, well, the Fire Dragon Slayer roar. That being said, this is when, of course, Hinata would be the one who's in the forest, and this would just so happen to be the very same day that Hinata got picked on by those bullies, the day that she basically started admiring Naruto from afar. However, when Naruto would see that these kids are all ganging up on Hinata and calling her mean names like a freak just because of her eyes and her KK Genkai, Naruto would get pretty angry at that because people don't get to control what they're born with. However, people do get to control how they treat others, and after seeing what those kids are doing to her, he would get immediately angry as Naruto would just walk over there and he'd be like, "Hey, leave her alone." As the kids would just start picking on Naruto, they'd start pushing him around. Naruto would proceed to punch one of them away, and that's when the kids would basically be like, "Oh, you want to be some big and bad protector? Alright," as they would start ganging up on Naruto, and they would basically proceed to jump him on some Compton stuff. I'm totally kidding, that was a joke, but seriously though, it would proceed to jump the man. And it's at this point that, Naruto would be on the floor getting completely stomped out, as Naruto would get progressively angrier and angrier, and he would just see the look of fear in Hinata's eyes. However, this is when Naruto would basically push them all off of himself, as he would turn towards one of the kids, as he would say, "You're not gonna hurt her again, you hear me? Fire Dragon Slayer roar!" He would do that little roar thing, right? He would be like, "Fire Dragon roar!" And he would let out a huge amount of fire. Obviously nothing compared to the one that Natsu has, however, just enough to scare the kids off. And it's at this point that Naruto would look towards Hinata's direction, as she would just be completely lost for words. She'd be like, "Naruto!" And oh my god, that was so cringy, but she'd be like, "Naruto-kun!" And Naruto would look at her, she's like, "You okay?" He'd basically dust himself off, and she would ask him if he's okay, as Naruto would say that yeah, he is, not to worry about him, and he would give her that cheesy classic Natsu smile. Immediately upon seeing that, Hinata would go bright red, and Naruto would basically go up to her as he just says, "Don't worry, those kids will never come back and hurt you again," as he would be like, "What's your name?" Hinata would look at him and be like, Hinata. And it's at this point that Naruto would be like, "Oh, Hinata, that's actually a pretty cool name." And he would look at her eyes, and she's like, "Your eyes are really special. Is it like a KK Genkai?" And she would be like, "Yeah, it's the Hyuga's blood trait. We inherit these eyes, only people from the main branch family." Naruto would be like, "What's a branch family? What are you talking about? You guys live in the trees?" And Hinata would just be like, Yeah, as Naruto would just be like, ah, yeah, that's dope. This one they would proceed to talk a little bit, and Naruto and Hinata would talk and walk for about 30 minutes. However, this is when one of the people who was taking care of Hinata would realize that she's hanging out with a demon fox of Konoha, as she would immediately just be like, get away from that kid, and rip him away from him. She would basically proceed to tell Hinata who that kid is, and Naruto would just be sitting there by himself as he's like, well, guess I'll see you around. Hinata would run away. She's like, wait. And Naruto would just be sitting there just like, well, I'm used to it anyways. He would basically go to the swing. And this is when Naruto, instead of feeling sorry for himself like our original version of Naruto, instead, Naruto would start swinging on that thing. And he would go pretty high. Naruto would by accident end up actually falling off, and this would lead to Naruto basically landing down. However, as he does, he would get a brief flashback of a man with pink hair who looks very similar to him, just saying, Fire Dragon Talon! As Naruto would say, Fire Dragon Talon, obviously in a higher voice, since he is like 7 years old at this point. He would land it and he would be like, whoa. As it's at this point that Naruto would go to sleep that same day, and during the time that he would sleep, he would get fragments of his previous life, the life which he was Natsu Dragneel, the most powerful wizard of the fairy tale family. Well, in my opinion, come on now, like Natsu is broken, Fire Dragon Slayer powers, he is a god, and yeah, Naruto is pretty broken, seeing as, he's the reincarnation of Natsu. Of course, Natsu compared to other verses probably isn't all that impressive. However, when you take into consideration that it is me who is doing the what if, and I just love my characters to be broken. I love them to be able to fondle Madara by the time that they get to the 4th Great Shinobi Alliance War. So you bet your asses I'm going to make Naruto broken, even with the restrictions that I have with Dragon Slayers and all that stuff. That being said, this is when, of course, Naruto would go home and, he would wake up, obviously, after sleeping. And after seeing all those things, he would decide that he's going to go out to train. He would spend the next week or so basically trying to mimic those same movements and stuff like that. And Naruto wouldn't be able to get any results. See, for some reason, it feels as if he only can use or tap into those abilities whenever he is truly in need of them. He usually isn't able to just summon them forth without any just random reason for some reason. And Naruto would pick up on that, as he would start realizing that there must be some way for him to access it on command. So this would basically lead into Naruto just being like, well, I got brief flashbacks from these abilities in my sleep, so maybe if I just pass out again, I'll be able to see these abilities. Naruto would decide that that's probably his best bet, and so Naruto would proceed to do just that. He would basically proceed to make his way back to his house, as he would lay down and he would basically turn and spin and just kind of toss around in the bed, just trying to pass out. But we all know what that's like. Trying to pass out when you actually want to and you're not actually tired, it's just a struggle, man. Unless you're one of those people who are just great sleepers. And I don't know if I even said that wrong, but some of you guys probably have trouble sleeping like me. And then there's probably some of you guys who are out there just like, nah, bro, I don't know what you're talking about. Ugh. Oh, sometimes your boy needs his breaths. But anyways, and there's some people out there who are just like, nah, bro, I pass out like immediately after I close my eyes. And to those people, I say, you are so lucky. You better be grateful for that, because I have to toss and turn for an hour before I can finally pass out. But anyways, that's enough about me. You guys are not here to hear about me sleeping and all that stuff. Anyways, Naruto would basically pass out, and it's at this point that Naruto would wake up, as he would see more of these remnants and flashbacks. This is when Naruto would see an explanation. He would see a memory that dates all the way back to when Natsu was training with Igneo, learning how to write, read, and all those basic things that Igneo taught him. However, one thing that he would also see is how Igneo taught Natsu how to basically wield fire, dragon slayer magic. And Naruto, after hearing this, would wake up as he's like, it's not chakra, it's sweat. I said sweat, but no, it's magic. Naruto would look up at the ceiling as he's like, I gotta go try this out. This is when Naruto would go out, and then he would realize, wait, he'd be right outside of his door. He's like, I don't know how to use magic. As he would go back to sleep, and it would take him about another hour to do so, he would finally start learning some of the basics on how to control your mana and all that stuff. And Naruto at this point would realize that not only does he have access to chakra, however, he also has access to, well, what's it called? Mana, or, as people like to say in the fairy tale world, magic. That being said, Naruto would decide that, yo, this is kind of broken low key, so he's definitely going to work out on this. And, well, that's basically precisely what he decides to do. That being said, this would pretty much lead into him just kind of being like, all right, so, this is clearly what's going to happen. And it's at this point that basically Naruto would finally start grasping the powers of a fire dragon slayer. He would spend, I'm going to say, the next, let's see, well, what's a decent amount of time for him to finally be able to grasp the abilities of the dragon slayer abilities? I'm gonna say he would spend the next 7 years, meaning he's going to be now 14 years old. And during this time, you guys may be wondering, yo, dude, he had 7 years to train. How OP is this man? Well, to put it simply, Naruto is now just, I'm just gonna say it as simply as I possibly can. Naruto now has perfect control over his mana and has learned every single one of Natsu's abilities, ranging from the Dragon Slayer roar to the Talon to the Fire Dragon Slayer. What was the punch called? I honestly forget. Iron Fist. Yeah, Iron Fist. Yes. Iron Fist, and more attacks ranging from those varieties. However, he would also learn how to wield fire in the way that Natsu did, when he can basically manifest objects or hands and just kind of use flames and bend them to his will. And he would even learn and gain the ability to eat flames. His skin would harden, his his insides would, obviously, seeing as Natsu basically could breathe in fire, they obviously got to be top notch. So yeah, that's basically what kind of ends up going on in this basic little version, I guess you could say. That being said, this is when, yo, what's going on? Discord literally just joined me into a call. You guys heard nothing. Anyways, as I was saying, Naruto would basically proceed to, of course, continue practicing his abilities as a dragon slayer. However, Naruto would have also been learning about a certain ability that he really likes. See, after seeing the Hyuga fighting style, and of course growing up alongside Hinata, after a couple of years of him and Hinata basically sneaking off to hang out, due to the fact that, well, after they hung out for that first time, they didn't have that awkward encounter that they did in the original canon. Therefore, they both got to know a little bit out of each other, and Hinata actually got to take away the shyness much faster, leading to him basically seeing her out walking another day, and they both basically ended up sneaking off to hang out with each other. They would have ended up doing that for like the last 7 years, and Naruto and Hinata at this point would be like best friends. Hinata would have been throwing hints all over the place to the fact that she is just completely head over heels with Naruto. However, Naruto, being the reincarnation of Natsu and literally having the love of his life right next to him the entire time and not knowing that Lucy likes him, is literally what Naruto does. I mean, he proceeds to act completely oblivious to Hinata's advances, and therefore, they're both kind of best friends. This is when Naruto and Hinata would basically be arriving to the academy, as it is their first day of the academy training and all that stuff. That being said, this is when, of course, the stuff with the Uchiha compound and all that stuff would have basically already happened. And Sasuke, of course, would have lost his clan earlier at the same age that he did in canon. And of course, that would have led him to train even harder than in the original, leading into him getting even more powerful than, what he was in the canon. As well as the fact that, if, let's see, Sasuke, I would like to say, is about as strong as he was by the end of the Valley fight with Naruto in the first half of Naruto, the first part of Naruto, basically. And that's essentially how strong Sasuke is. That being said, Naruto, however, is not quite on that same level of power. See, as for Naruto, things are a little different. Naruto is a dragon slayer, and that entails a lot, and I mean a lot, of power. Naruto's about at the same level that Natsu was after no, not after, but right as he met Lucy, he's about at that level of strength. And not only that, but he also has some access to chakra. See, if he's going to be hanging out with Hinata, you bet your ass Hinata's not going to let Naruto simply just slack off in the chakra department. So Naruto would have definitely have taken about 2 years to learn the basics and fundamentals of chakra, leading into him discovering water walking, tree climbing, his affinity for wind nature and all that stuff. And Naruto would of course use his wind chakra nature to actually enhance his flames, seeing as, you know, wind and fire, when they get mixed together, fire gets even more powerful. So Naruto actually has the innate ability to basically make his fire dragon roars even more powerful by making some hand signs and then going fire dragon roar, shooting that out, and then proceeding to then shoot out a wind bullet. As yeah, that definitely has a kick to it when you add those two together. That being said, Naruto is very, very powerful, and of course, you know, Naruto's not no slacker, obviously, you know. This being said, Naruto would basically be on some pretty OP stuff, and he would even gain the ability to create weapons out of his flame, seeing as, you know, he kind of finds that to be pretty awesome. However, Naruto's main weapon of choice would be a katana, because I like to give all of my Naruto's like blade, like fighting abilities with the sword, just because, dude, like sword style in Naruto is so underused, and I don't really understand it, dude. Like the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist are so awesome. I might just do a Deku reincarnation as Zabuza someday, but I don't know just yet. Maybe let me know if you guys would like to see something like that. Anyways, that being said, Naruto would of course, you know, walk into his first day of the academy, and Hinata and he would basically take a seat next to each other. Of course, Sakura and, you know, Ino would be arguing over who gets to sit next to Sasuke. However, Naruto and Hinata would just be like, yeah, let's just leave them alone. That being said, they would of course all be taken outside, and Sasuke would already be on his emo shit, seeing as, you know, his family already did, you know, kind of get manslaughtered by Itachi. That being said, this is when they would all go outside, and Iruka Sensei would proceed to explain to all of them that they're going to be taking small tests, which basically are going to range from how, you know, how good they are with chakra, their nunchuck, and I'm not nunchuck, but their shuriken skills and all that stuff, and they're going to be having a little bit of a sparring session with each other at the end. They would of course do all of that, and Naruto, seeing as, you know, he's pretty skilled now, and he definitely has some great taijutsu skills, seeing as, you know, the Naruto verse has one of the best hands that I've ever seen thrown. Like the Naruto verse, they can throw hands, like god, on some god tier stuff, basically is what I'm trying to say. I've been stuttering a lot during this video, and I do apologize for that, in case some of you guys are like, dude, if you stutter one more time, I'm going to literally rip out your voice box, and I'm sorry, okay? My deepest apologies. Anyways, that being said, this is when, of course, you know, basic stuff would end up happening, you know, Naruto, all that stuff, you know. Naruto would basically go in there, he would do the shuriken stuff, he'd get pretty good scores, and this is when he would have the battle against Sasuke. Now, this is when they would both look at each other, and immediately Naruto would give Sasuke a little bit of a dirty look, seeing as he can see that Sasuke just gets all the girls. Sasuke would be sitting there just smiling, and in this version of events, I'm gonna be saying that Sasuke, he actually has access to a little bit of a special KK Genkai, a little bit of a rare case, and I'm pretty sure many of you guys know exactly where I'm going with this. Sasuke has access to Ice style KK Genkai. And how did he learn this? How did he get this? Well, I'm just going to be changing Sasuke's mother to, instead of Mikoto being, you know, let's say one of the ladies from that one village and from Haku's family. You know, the Haku family branch with the Ice Genkai? Yeah, that's basically why he has him. That being said, Sasuke would be part that and half Hyuga. I mean, no, not Hyuga, but Uchiha. And, well, Naruto and Sasuke would look at each other and just immediately not like each other. Naruto, as soon as, you know, they would create the hand signs, would immediately just say, well, you better be ready, as he would immediately proceed to get into his fighting style, and as soon as Iruka says go, Naruto would stomp his feet onto the ground as he would say, fire dragon, roar! He would shoot it at Sasuke's direction, and Sasuke would use the substitution jutsu to get behind Naruto. This is when he would proceed to basically shoot shoot a giant ice geyser at Naruto, to which Naruto would immediately just say, "Fire Dragon Talon," as he would cut it, and Sasuke would just be like, "You're kind of strong, aren't you?" This is when he would rush at Naruto, and they would get into a pretty fire taijutsu bout. They'd be going crazy. They'd be going hand to hand. They'd be going on some pretty fast speeds. Sasuke also has 2 Tomoe Sharingan on each one of his eyes. And yeah, if that's not impressive, I don't know what is. That being said, he would basically rush at Naruto, as Naruto would do the same. They would both go hand in hand, and they would just be punching each other square in the jaw. However, this is when Sasuke would basically proceed to just say, "Fire style, Fireball Jutsu," as he would shoot a giant flaming fireball at Naruto. Naruto would stand in front of it, as Sasuke would smirk, and Naruto and Hinata would smile, as Naruto would say, he would suck in all of the fire, and immediately he would just say, "Ha, now I've got a fire in my belly," as he would proceed to turn towards Sasuke's direction and say, "Fire Dragon Iron Fist," and he would punch Sasuke square in the gut, as this is where I'm going to be ending off the first part for What If Naruto Was Natsu's Reincarnation. Now, boys, if you guys do want to have a part 2 for this series, you guys are going to be needing to throat punch that like button and get a grand total of 1,000 likes. 2,000 likes if you guys want the next part to drop as the entire series of this amazing series of, What If Naruto Was Natsu's Reincarnation. That being said, I will be, of course, basically checking down the comments down below. So in case you guys want to tell me some suggestions, some moves that I maybe missed, any little pieces of information that I should give Natsu, and any stuff like that, then be free to comment that all down below in the comment section down below. That being said though, guys, it has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.